Let's take a closer look at FactoryTalk Remote Access. In our most recent online learning series from April 2025, we did an update on networks and power. And in that presentation, we had a section on remote access where Jacob Leddy with Rockwell Automation gave an update on some of the capabilities of remote access. Let's take a little bit closer look at what remote access is and what you need to make it work. Remote access is part of FactoryTalk Hub, which is a complete cloud-enabled solution offered by Rockwell Automation. FactoryTalk Hub has several components to it, including Design Studio, Optix Studio, and Twin Studio, which gives you the ability to create logics in the cloud, HMI applications in the cloud, and do emulation and digital twin in the cloud. Also part of FactoryTalk Hub is the Vault, or FactoryTalk Vault. This is an online repository for storing your project files. And then there's remote access, which will give you secure connections to your industrial equipment that is anywhere out in the world. So for remote access, there are two main components that you will need. One is FactoryTalk Remote Access Manager. This is the piece that is inside of FactoryTalk Hub. This will give you the ability to make your remote connections to your devices. Second is the remote access endpoint. This is the device or the endpoint of which you're going to remotely connect to. The remote endpoint can be installed either as a runtime application on a Linux or Windows device, or it can be pre-installed on certain products offered by Rockwell Automation, such as the Stratix 4300 remote access router, the Optix panel, the Embedded Edge Compute module, or the awesome 6300 industrial PCs. So for the Remote Access Manager, this is the first piece. This is what you would need to enable to make the remote connections. To use the manager, you do need to have an entitlement. So there will be an entitlement required inside of FactoryTalk Hub. That entitlement will come in different tiers, which will allow for various number of concurrent connections. From the chart, we can see we have options for 1, 2, 5, 10, 25, 50, or even an unlimited number of concurrent connections. Once you get the manager installed and working inside a hub, you will need to have a second component, which is going to be the remote access endpoint, or the runtime software. So your remote device will have this endpoint runtime software installed on it. Then you will also have to have an entitlement for this to work. There's two options available. There's a basic entitlement and a pro entitlement. With the basic entitlement, you can make a remote connection directly to that device and be able to access and interface with that device that has the runtime software on it. With the Pro entitlement, not only can you make that connection to the endpoint device itself, but you can continue with a VPN connection onto the network to get to the other automation devices that are connected to that device. For instance, I can open up RS Links on my computer or Studio 5000 on my computer, and I can connect to the PLCs that are on the plant floor through the endpoint device. So one advantage of using some of the Rockwell Automation hardware is that the remote access endpoints and entitlements will come on certain devices. So one is the FactoryTalk Remote Access endpoint Stratix 4300 remote access gateway. The Stratix 4300 is a remote access appliance that will allow you to make a connection to the wide area network to make that outbound secure connection back to the hub. And then there are ports for the local area connection to connect to your local to your automation devices on the plant floor. The Stratix 4300 gives you the ability to connect over Ethernet, over serial, and now there are new models that give you the ability to use Wi-Fi and cellular connections to make your secure outbound connections. If you're using some of the other visualization products from Rockwell, such as the Optix panel or the awesome 6300 industrial PC, you will get a endpoint runtime already installed and entitled and ready to go. So these devices that we see here are all basically remote access enabled and are able to be quickly connected. The Optix Panel Compact will come with a basic entitlement, whereas the Optix Panel Standard will come with a Pro entitlement. If you're using the Embedded Edge Compute module, you will get the Remote Access Pro entitlement. The Embedded Edge Compute module is an in-chassis ControlLogix module that has the Optix runtime license already installed on it, plus you will have the Remote Access runtime Pro entitlement also included on that device. And if you are using an awesome 6300 industrial PC, be it either the panel mount or a book mount PC, you will also have a basic entitlement for remote access. Now, it should be noted that in all cases, the remote access endpoint runtime software is included and the entitlement is included, but you do not have to enable or use remote access, of course. That's completely up to your choosing. But they are, again, remote access enabled and ready, or I should say ready, if you choose to enable them. Now, this last chart is just a comparison showing you the various options of the remote access endpoint software. So there's a remote access, the runtime basic and runtime pro, as well as the endpoints with their various entitlements that are put on them. So this chart, you can pause and just look at and see what the main differences are between each of the options available to you. And with that, that's a quick review of our FactoryTalk Remote Access discussion from our learning series. Join us in a follow-up video where we'll do a remote access demonstration.